Welcome everyone. Welcome everybody from all the world. Today I have the honor to present you George Curran. How are you doing, George? Nice to see you.
I am doing great. It's middle afternoon here right now in in the States. I'm actually not in New York right now. I'm in Michigan, staying with family. Everything got really busy with coronavirus about 6 weeks ago or so, and so we just decided to leave town and we're staying at my mother-in-law's house. So it's been great actually.
How's the feeling to be at home for so long period?
Yeah, you mean just the quarantine idea? Actually, it was when we came over, when we drove across, it was about 11-hour drive, and Kate's mom, Sharon, actually went to stay with some friends who have a small house, so that we could quarantine because we assumed that we had the virus, and Sharon generously lent us her house and let us quarantine there for 2 weeks. That was pretty weird for sure. And But so it's me and my wife Katie and our 4-year-old Kayla, and I think the biggest change is for her because she has not been used to having the two of us around so much. I mean, I miss like 5 or 6 dinners a week because of Philharmonic concerts and teaching and whatever else might be going on. So, it's been nice to have some daddy time.
How's that feeling for you? Something new, something perhaps that you wanted to do it.
Well, I mean, New York is an expensive city, and so you have to grind it out to make ends meet, as you would think. You might be surprised, I guess, but it's an expensive city, so I had to do a lot of teaching. I mean, I like the teaching, and I've really liked working with my students. Actually, it's been one of the more fun things in my week. But it does at times make me feel like I'm missing out a little bit on seeing our daughter at this sort of a real critical time of her life. So, and I'm also dumping a lot of the work on my wife. So she's been super patient, and I've been trying the best I can to help out here. But we're all Katie and I are both back up and working now, sort of. Uh, but it's nice to be home.
Nice. I'm really glad that you have this kind of period that you can be a daddy, to be at home 24/7. That must be a really nice feeling.
And now Sharon is back, so our daughter is like getting like every option. Now she's got three parents around, or grandparents, and so she's getting a lot of attention. So,
Mm.
but yeah, she misses her friends and stuff. But
Yeah, for sure.
she's a real trooper.
She's also taking some schools online lessons.
We actually she's learning some Spanish. We're taking some online lessons that we'd started. Certainly, if you live in New York, you should probably learn Spanish. And one of these days, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be you know know enough to be able to use it as well. But growing up in the middle of America, I grew up here in Michigan, and you just use English. You take your languages, but you forget them if you don't use them. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's kind of a nice opportunity to start doing something new.
George, a little bit more specific. How are you dealing with your trombone nowadays?
I, to be honest, I am actually able to practice a little bit more than I normally did. I mean, I usually have to stick around after concerts or stick around after teaching or carve out some time at home. But at home back in New York, we've got an apartment. It's not a ideal practice situation, or maybe going in before rehearsals to get extra time in. But it's not ideal for practice for sure. And so always feel like I'm like one step behind or one step ahead of whatever I need to be doing. Here, I've been able to uh, get a kind of a routine. Obviously with the family and working around that, it's complicated, and communicating with the adults in advance is super important. So we kind of have a routine at this point. At this point, usually it's like right after breakfast, I go off to work in the office, and Kayla leaves me alone. And then after lunch, um, I I'm basically on I'm basically on duty to help out or whatever needs to be done. And then after she goes to bed, I'll probably practice some more. So it's actually kind of nice. I mean, I've been actually getting to do some routines. Yesterday, I just joined Nathan Zagans. He's been doing some routines and some like a Monday uh, like a warm up routine. And so he and I went and did one on a Zoom class and had 100 people show up. There was like a waiting list, so it was kind of it
Wow.
was fun.
Wow, that must be really
But
fun.
yeah, we. So I think I'll probably start doing those on Thursdays as well. Thursday mornings for me it's like 11 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know. That'd be like five p.m. or something for you, and so maybe not early enough to warm up, but it's not always going to be a warm up either. I'll probably mix in some other things. So just people can check out my Facebook page about that.
How do you start your daily routine with the trombone? Are you doing every day some basics, some things that you were missing?
I have a routine that I put up on my website that is like 12 exercises that I do pretty often. And so I'll either do that or I'll find somebody else's routine, uh, or I'll just do some basics. Usually I'll do that and it's about a half hour, and then I have a list on my phone of like all these A2 books that I have that I've never gotten around to. I mean, I think we all fall in the bad habit of playing out of our favorite couple of books, and so I figured a while back, well, I should probably start working through these books. And so I've just been slowly working through, and I got a list, and I keep track of what pages I'm on each one, and each day I make sure to pull out 3 books and just read a page or two, and then this is a great time to be working on unaccompanied solos, Bach cello suites, those kind of things, and we aren't totally sure what's going to happen with the Southeast Trombone Symposium at this point. We have been talking with the Columbus State faculty, and well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I am preparing. Um, it's in June, so it's not it's around the corner. We There might be a delay. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do, but um, uh, in the event that nothing happens and there's no change, then I need to be ready to play some stuff. You know,
Of course, yeah.
pretty soon. So I certainly have my plate is full. So
George, how do you keep? I think I saw that question. I also wanted to ask, how do you
yeah,
keep your motivation nowadays?
well, I sort of answered a little bit of that, right?
Yeah,
With things
yeah,
like STS and um, for me, I've always been a very structured person. Like my life is very busy, and now I'm going into a total period of like no structure. So, and I think everybody else is probably feeling about the same, or has been trying to figure out how to structure their time. And for me, I talk to my students a lot about short and medium and long term projects. Maybe my long term project is to learn how to play a high, G or whatever or something, and or be able to play some crazy solo or something that I'm not able to play, um, and or it could be non-musically related subjects too. But those are really hard to sort of keep the motivation day to day because the completion is so far away. So I like to set up little projects that get me from point A to point B, slowly. Um, Things that might be high range exercises or working on a high range a piece that's going to be challenging my range and endurance. That those things are easier to tackle on a daily basis, and then they build toward a longer goal. So things like doing these warm up classes that I'm going to be doing, and preparing for it. I want to be putting some more things out on YouTube. I haven't really had time to do much with that, and just to you know make some product. To be honest, I just put some projects in front of myself that are manageable, smaller projects that will keep me in shape, keep me motivated, keep me working with people. I mean, uh, the Philharmonic has been doing a few, like we've been recording remotely and then put together some projects. So I've actually done like three or four different of those kinds of things. We did Bolero. We did I think yesterday or the day before they just released the chorale from Mahler 2 with the whole brass section, and that was pretty fun to see. There are a couple other guys that I've worked with too, but yeah. So I mean, staying involved with people who are doing this is really important. If you're a student, stay involved with your other classmates and maybe set up meetings and set up your own warm up classes where um, one of you each week gets to host the warm up class for the rest of the studio. It doesn't take very much time if you start trying to be a little creative um, to make some fun projects.
Talking about goals, short-term goals, long-term goals.
Yeah,
That everything now is uncertain, that we don't know when it's going to happen tomorrow, at least.
yeah.
How do you deal with this?
Uh, well, you can't look too far into the future. I mean, I know that you know, some people really want to open everything up as soon as possible. Certainly in the U.S., there's a lot
Mm.
of pressure for that, and um, but for the performing ensembles, uh, it's going to be a while before people are able to, there's enough, whether a vaccine or enough herd immunity or whatever for people to come out. And then even if once that happens, there's still probably going to be a big hesitancy. Um, let's see, hold on a second. All right, there's going to be some sort of um, a hesitancy on some people to come back out. So I think people, I don't know how long that's going to be. So I can't look that far ahead. I've got to be thinking, for me, from now until STS, I've got to be thinking from, what am I going to do over the summer? Sort of think of blocks of time. If I try to think, are we going to start in the fall, or what am I going to do? That's a little too far. Think a month at a time. It seems it's about as far as I'd want to really look out into the future.
George, what have you heard from your orchestra, from your main job? How are you guys dealing with this period? Everything doing online?
Well, with the orchestra, we were supposed to be in Europe right now. I think we were supposed to be in London. We were going to do a 3 week European tour that obviously we're not doing, and then the rest of the concerts have been canceled. I'm pretty sure that the Parks concerts in June have been canceled, and I mean I assume the rest of this has been canceled too. That playing in China in July and also going to Colorado at the end of July. Um, I think has been canceled, but I'm not certain about the one in Colorado. But I think that there's probably going to happen. I mean, I can't imagine. But and then you go off into this like 4 or 5 week break, and then all of a sudden we're back teaching, and I wouldn't be surprised if the beginning of the semester is still going to be online for a lot of people in the fall um, for teaching, and that would probably not be the worst situation. I think of all of the things that I do interacting with people, whether it's playing with the Philharmonic or teaching privately or doing other work, the online teaching is actually. I know everybody says it's kind of terrible, but you can do it well. I found that um, if you both have mics, that really helps. Um, if you both have microphones, and then what I have my students do is I just have them send me as many recordings as they can. So what I've been doing is I'm having lessons usually on Monday, and I'll have everyone send me their recordings on Saturday, and then on Sunday I listen to everything and send them a long email with comments, and then we have a shortened lesson usually, just because it's it's been harder on a lot of the kids, and but they get a decent amount of time from me from that, and I think that we've been trying other things with the kids. You know, downloading the acapella app, doing things on GarageBand, and other things because it's actually pretty fun to do those multi-track recordings, and you can hear yourself build up an ensemble. I'm not going to be doing anything professional on the overdubbing anytime soon, but it's fun to listen, and you certainly have to work on your fundamentals, your consistency of rhythm, pitch, all those things, um, and it's a great project for that.
How difficult is to judge your own students with online lessons, with recordings? That's not the same to have them live.
That's true, especially if they're if they're dealing with any issues. If somebody's got some issues with their buzzing or double buzzing or like a embouchure issue, those things are the most difficult to diagnose when you're doing it um, over a computer. But uh, but I do find that when they send the recordings first, um, uh, that recording quality is usually good. Is usually pretty good. You can get a decent recording, and certainly when you're doing the streaming back and forth on a Zoom or something else, you get some sort of a compression, especially if you're using just a phone, so or a laptop or a tablet of some sort. So, so I feel like sending the recordings really does help me be able to hear them pretty clearly, especially if they send me video recordings, because I can see a lot too. Then and it's the most helpful, and it sounds the best. So that for me has helped a lot. Diagnosing other problems, I've been using visualizers and buzzing and these things, and you just kind of get your face right up in the camera so they can see what you're doing, and they do the same. And you can get a pretty good product. It's a little slower, um, but you know when you are sort of translating through a device, it forces you to take a moment to slow down and make sure you're being really clear in your instruction. So it's so that you only have to say it once, and that the message gets across. So a little bit of creativity goes into that for sure. But you do. I mean, it's not as great. It's not as good as listening to somebody's actual sound live. I mean, that's what we all tell everybody. Say live music is so much more important than recorded music, and now we're doing everything over basically some sort of a recording device. Um, so you have to be a little bit creative in those things. Getting the students to do, this is a time for the students to do a lot of listening too. Obviously just like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all these things that there are people posting all over the place, but this is a chance for people who, if they're learning excerpts or learning solos or something, well, now what else are you going to do? So make yourself a little project each day. Listen to one movement of a piece each day with a score. That's a new thing that you don't know. It's like sight reading, but sight listening.
What do you use for equipment? Your own equipment?
Well, I have a MacBook Pro laptop, which had just been about. I mean, it's the 2012, so I mean it was pretty slow, but I just actually was able to put in a new hard drive and some extra memory, so now it's actually it feels like a new computer.
Yeah.
So I felt very proud of myself for that because that's not my thing. But we had a video Zoom recorder. Uh, it's confusing now that you're using multiple Zooms, but here, this is what you guys are hearing, and and it just goes in through the USB, and you just click on it choose it to be your external mic. So that has helped. I still need to figure out how to not overblow it, even if I turn it all the way down. But I'll figure it out. Um, yeah, and then I do also phone. A lot of times you can do some quick things over the phone.
You were telling me about to upload some of your work to YouTube. Are you using often YouTube channels, your own YouTube channel, checking your own recordings from the past years?
Well, it's a great time to listen to some things that you've done. I mean, certainly, Yeah, I've been using mostly, I would say right now, I'm using my professional Facebook page to promote some things and trying to figure out. I'm more in the planning stages right now. I have um, the the move and having a child at home is certainly a large amount of uh, s- you know stress in the life. I mean, certainly with all the multiple adjustments to the schedule, but uh, yeah, I mean, certainly YouTube is a great resource. I mean, it's not very there's not like a way to filter out like the bad things on YouTube that maybe want you'd want to skip because there's not really a good way to do that. But certainly if you're looking around and you know how to look around, there's a lot of great recordings out there um, to listen to. Actually, last night on the Facebook Live, the Philharmonic played a broadcast, and this is, I mean, a lot of the orchestras are doing that, but I sort of know mine, what's going on with ours more. The Philharmonic is being paid through the end of May, though we've been reduced. And we'll find out probably in 2 weeks what's going on past May. So I feel so lucky to have that because like New York City mortgage, like if we just go straight to unemployment line, that's not going to last very long. So um, anyway, it was really cool to see some of these historic recordings because one of the compromises the musicians um, gave to our management as part of uh, allowing the management to allow uh, to continue payment is that they said we will give you access to all the old archive recordings that you know usually the musicians would need to get some sort of royalties for. So for free last night there was the first broadcast since the original performance of Leonard Bernstein conducting in 1963. They did Mahler 2 2 days after John F. Kennedy was assassinated as sort of a big tribute, and then nobody had seen it since. And so it's just really cool to see these, vintage sections and vintage, it's just really cool to see that. And it was actually like back when it was Avery Fisher Hall. I don't even know if it was even called Fisher Hall at that point yet. Um, uh, it was just cool to see that and see Leonard Bernstein, like, in the figure of his life. And, uh, and I think that there are going to be a lot of other cool recordings coming out too, but I have no idea what might be next. So I'm looking
Okay.
forward to it.
Talking about your own career as a professor, as a teacher, as a trombone player, you have some plans in the future to record a new CD, a solo CD?
Yeah, I don't have like anything specific right now, but there, how it's always rolling around the back of your mind. If I was going to do another CD, which might happen, what pieces would I do? What pieces would I want to put on that CD? I've been involved with a few commissioning projects, a couple pieces I haven't performed yet, and there are also a few pieces that are floating around that haven't, to my knowledge, been recorded that are worthy of a recording. Um, and sometimes the opportunity comes up, and there have been some other things that have come up that haven't necessarily been directly um, my instigation for them. Like the big STS Southeast Trombone Symposium Legacy CD was a big collaboration between artists with the symposium and the professors choir, and there were commissions done for that. So those kind of things are really special, and it's been nice to. I've been talking a lot, with the guys from STS and trying to figure out what we're going to do if we do everything online, if we do it somewhat online, if we decide to move it, if there are a lot of factors for that. So these guys are really it's. I tell my students surround yourself by the best people you can, whether it's um, very motivated or talented or and just smart people, and people who have a mission. and you want to not necessarily get on board their mission, but you want their missions to um, uh, to help motivate you and give you ideas for what you want to be doing with your life. So I think things like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, where you see people performing things and overdubbing, and you see different commissions and other works. That's one of the best ways to hear about it. And you do have to sift through a lot of political diatribes and things in order to get to some of that stuff. But I think it's important to stay connected as best as you can. It gives you a lot of ideas. So yeah, I guess there's not enough for a CD right now, but a couple things I'd like to play.
George, be honest
Yeah.
with me now. Tell me, what is the thing that you are missing the most nowadays
Hmm.
of your daily routine, of course?
Yeah, I mean, I you sent me the questions, and I thought, man, what can I possibly? How do I narrow it down? I mean, the whole life has been thrown out the window. Um, I mean, just the excitement of living in New York for me is I love it. You know, we don't get to take advantage of it as much as I'd like because of work and family and everything. But we've been we've been trying to go out to concerts. I mean we were trying to go out to concerts. We were trying to see the city as much as we can. Our 4 year old daughter loves Irish dancing, like the traditional Irish music and stuff. And there's an Irish pub right around the corner from our place that is the first restaurant that we could go to if it was by the fewest number of steps anyway. And they have live music twice a live Irish music twice a month, and that was a really fun place to go to. But we would also sort of made a fun little project to look for where live Irish music around town was. And so we would go down to Battery Park, we'd go out to Brooklyn, we all kinds of places. The options are sort of endless in the city, and and I would be totally um, uh, if I didn't say that I was missing my colleagues and the students being close to them, um, I would I would be I would be totally lying. We have a great situation. Um, we have a great situation in the whole brass section. I just love working with them. I respect all of their playing, but we have a locker room in the back, sort of backstage downstairs, and this is the brass locker room. So like basically everybody, well, all the guys are in that room, and then after concerts, we'll oftentimes have hangs there, and the ladies will join, and we'll have a drink or something, and before we all catch our trains and subways to get back home. But definitely miss working with all them. Respect them so much.
George, do you think the first thing that you will do after this quarantine, after this lockdown, however you want to call it, it will be perhaps coming to Ireland?
Oh, now that would be
That would
fun.
be nice.
Yes. The Philharmonic went on tour in Europe and started their tour in Dublin in 2015. It was in the spring of 2015 because my wife um, was expecting. She was along, but she was still like 5 months away or something. But so we went and we saw the cliffs of Moher over in Galway, and that was like one of the best things. Like one of my most special experiences, just going out and certainly going to Ireland. That would be really, really fun. Hearing some, real Irish music.
Yeah, of
So,
course. And talking about music, do you think people after this period will appreciate a little bit more the music?
I've had like a total 180-degree turnaround on this because I remember when we we're starting to think, well, what's going to happen with our season's going to have to be canceled. I mean, and then I was thinking, what's going to happen in the fall, or I was thinking a lot of people, especially the freelance community, are going to be really hard hit. People who are living paycheck gig to gig, and um, the students right now. All of you guys who are watching, it's a pretty scary time. Good time to stay in school, by the way. But um, uh, and and I was thinking, man, like, I mean, what's going to happen to these small regional orchestras or people, that are basically supported by donations, and it's going to be difficult. But and I was thinking, man, this might really end live music.
Mm.
But after about 2 weeks, I started seeing all this everything. All these people started posting things from home on their social networks, and I found really like hard. I found really like I was missing hearing other people play. And I think that anybody who's on this thread right now is probably really missing playing and hearing great music. Um, and so I'm actually really I'm convinced that music is going to be, as soon as people can kind of like get out of their out of their quarantine and
Mm.
start going out and doing things, they're going to start going to restaurants first. They're going to go to restaurants, they're going to go to museums, they're going to go see concerts, and they're going to go see a concert every night of the week. I mean, I think that as soon as the momentum starts to build, people are going to be going crazy to get out and like do stuff around town again. So I'm not worried about that. We just need to get there. So the quicker the better.
It will take a while, I think.
Yeah.
At least here in Europe, all the season is canceled until December next year, perhaps. So
Yeah. I
after
mean,
after everything will become normal routine, I think us as a musician, as our proper job, it will take a while to set up everything like normal again.
yeah, it's gonna. But when we get to that point, that I, I've had a lot of like unpleasant. Everyone has had like unpleasant chores or unpleasant jobs they've had to do. A big exam they got to prepare for that's like next Sunday. Well, maybe the time between now and then is not going to be fun, between now and next Sunday, or now and January or September or whenever. Who knows when it's going to be? We'll start finding. I think that we're going to start getting a better idea about this as the spring comes to a close, about how long it's going to probably be before we get started on things. But you know, those unpleasant tasks that we have to do, we just have to get through them and know that they're not going to last forever. But they feel like they're going to last. This really does feel like it's going to last forever. Um, but I think we need to find ways to be creative. We need you're going to need to make money between now and then. I mean, people need to figure out how to do things. You're going to need to lean on your family and friends. Might need to raid your retirement. I mean, if not for a pandemic, what else would you raid it for? Like take out a loan or whatever you have to do to just to get through until things get going again. And so things need to take on a little bit. They're going to take a little bit of a life on their own, and I think that they already seem to be doing that in this virtual way. Um, Teaching can certainly still keep going, and it is our job as teachers to give our students something to focus on and something to be hopeful for, because you know uh, I think that they're looking at this like extended summer vacation on their instruments and the
Mm.
trombones and whatever, that you could really lose a lot of focus. And so I'm staying in contact with my students over the summer that I'm teaching, to give them assignments to do, because I think it's important, and they're going to send me recordings, and I think it's our job as teachers we're their mentors. We are teaching them how to do this profession. So um, it's going to require investment on the student's part, and if somebody's not interested, I can't make them. But for those people who are really into it and then need to do this, the music profession is a hard one to be successful in. Period. But so is every other profession. So at least this is a profession that I really love, and I think that everybody who's doing it loves it. So I can't. I think it's going to be easy to keep people motivated if we just invest with our hearts a little bit.
Do you think this period of online education it needs kind of an improvement?
I'm certainly. I mean, I'm just feeling. I've just been doing it, and every week I feel I'm getting a better idea of how to do it. Um, uh, you know, optimally, you're going to get a great recording from somebody, or you're going to get a great communication. I mean, that's the hardest part to simulate is the sound that you're making or the sound that they're making. So mixing things up is good. I feel like some people are really doing a good job about those kinds of things. And you know, on your end, if you're the student or the teacher playing, you want to create the best audio environment you can. You know, like you want to find the most resonant room in the house, or at least you know, for my situation, this is like it's a carpeted large bedroom, um, but it's the only room in the house that I can like shut away from the family.
And play really loud.
We can, and but you know, like you know, I got a 4 year old. I mean, she's not expect. I can't expect her to um, stay outside or something while I'm teaching, or you know. So you've got to work within your means. Certainly, whatever you know. A couple of my students, for example, have used like they've got some loft ceilings in some room, and they've been playing on some hardwood floors, and I mean, you can really get a much better acoustic that way for your recordings. Oh, phone fell
Oh,
down.
an
Yeah.
accident.
Ah, sorry, everybody. That hurt. So,
Yours, are you
uh,
having at the moment all your horns at home?
I think I muted something here. Hold on a second.
Can you hear me?
Okay, hold on a second. How is? Try this now.
Can you hear me? Yeah, we can see you.
Yeah, my phone fell on my volume key and turned it off. So,
Oh, can you hear me now?
yeah, we're great.
I was asking you that do you have at the moment all your horns at home?
I have my bass trombone. I have a couple of mouthpieces. Practice me it. So we left New York in our Hyundai Elantra with you know a child seat in the back, and my wife is a clarinetist, and we had all this food stockpiled that was going to go bad over the summer, or who knows that because we couldn't get deliveries in our building. You know, it was getting really hard. We couldn't get grocery deliveries, so we were going to have to go out every time to the grocery store, which is not sustainable in a pandemic. You know, you can't go into the basement to do your laundry all the time. I mean, and then every time we came back in, it was like this whole detox process getting
Yeah.
back into the apartment. Um, so we just brought as much of that as we could, and so yeah, I was lucky to be able to get my horn in the car. Um, but yeah, so I'm good. You know, I'm not going to be practicing too much contra these days. So
It's unnecessary, no worries. The idea is be on shape.
this would have been a great time. You know, speaking of projects, if you
Yeah,
had
actually.
access to your auxiliary horns, your contras, or your alto trombones, or euphonium, or something. If you wanted to really get good at one of these things, I mean, certainly, if you don't have like 5 kids at home, that also makes
Actually,
it
now is the moment to get better in the thing that you were saying before. I don't have the time to practice. I don't have the time. Now you have 24/7 to practice.
yeah. You know, I speaking of that reminds me of one of the things I've talked about, and I really felt like I learned this sometime like I was just finishing my undergrad, and uh, I don't know what it was. I think it was something about like you know I'll work out or go to the gym or start running. When I get my job, I'll start taking care of myself. When I get myself financially stable, I will um, read books on my own or learn some hobby or whatever. Um, I realize that that is not actually true. That is not. This is not something that I want to do. This is something that I like to think I want to do. Like I imagine that I'm a good reader, or I'm you know out running or taking care of myself in whatever way. Um, but this is just like it's not a real goal. It's a dream, you know, a fantasy in your mind of something that you really you think you know. It just makes you feel good to think you like doing these things, but you don't actually invest any time in it. So I've told my students that if you don't learn these things and you wait to do that, this is you saying I like the idea of me. I like the idea of me being, you know, knowing all these extra things, but I don't actually invest the time to do it. When I realized that I like the idea of this, that really hit me home. That I was like, no, I really want to do this. So then I started just putting in a little bit of time every day, um, going for a short run or whatever. You got to build up momentum. If you want to learn this auxiliary instrument, you got to pull it out and play it once in a while. So,
Mm, mm.
so for those projects that are those rainy day projects, um, you know, make time for them now and say, I have to do this by the end of the week, or I'm lying to myself.
George, what can you tell to the people that is people are watching you now at the moment, trombone players, of course.
Yeah.
Can you recommend them kind of a method or something that must be in the daily routine of trombone player?
Oh, well, my routine it has a bunch of comments in that, and so you can check that out in the website. It's a free PDF. You can download it. But generally, what I like to say is I start off with some light buzzing and breathing exercises. Nothing too crazy, just enough to warm things up. Do some nice, easy long tones, lots of glissandos, um, and slow lip slurs. I want to find my sound, that as soon as I can in my playing. And once I start finding like I'm able to center the notes and be able to make some sort of like a sound with a overtone set, then then I'm ready to start, working on elements of my playing, whether it's I don't like to get the high and low range. I don't really like to play too hot, loud, or too soft until I've gotten into a routine so far, because those things just aren't really ready to work yet, and the way I want them to. Um, yeah, I mean, slow and fast lip slurs. You got to play. In part of my routine, I get up into the high range, but only a little bit. Just like refresh your mind about what it feels like to play high and feels like to play really low. Um, Work on some nice slow valve studies so that you can, especially for the bass trombone players, like so that you're getting the fingers working, and and the slide arm, nice. I mean, I go through all the majors, minors every day. I think it's just a really important. It's a really important thing, and the better you get at them, the faster you can get it over with. That's
That's
my
really true. Yes.
so.
George, are we getting in the future George Curran basics, perhaps?
Um,
A book, I meant.
like a book, huh? Um, yeah, there's some pretty good books out there. I mean, to be honest, I like sharing the ideas, and that I wish I was better at like all the word processing and graphics and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, it'll probably be a little bit of time before I do something like that. I think I'd
Mm.
like to get a little bit before I do something like that. I'd like to get a little bit more of just an online presence.
Yeah,
Get
that's.
get some
Mm.
more get some more playing and some more product out there that's going to be um, make it more relevant. You know,
You mean
uh,
be more active on the social media?
yeah. Well, certainly while we're quarantined,
Yeah.
now would not be a terrible time to put together a book, though. I think,
Mm.
you
Yeah, for
know,
sure.
um, yeah.
George, just going into the end of this, really nice talking with you. Really appreciate your time, your honesty, your all the work that you are doing is amazing. It's really nice. I would like to ask you for five things, and you have to reply with five other words. For example, if I tell you trombone, what can you tell me with
Uh,
just one word?
uh, Soul.
So, perfect.
Yeah.
And to start over again, I can tell you family,
Uh, Everything.
a beer.
IPA. Is that a word?
Really good, really good. Yeah, it's one word. um, orchestra,
Life.
fourth. Social media.
I keep thinking of phrases. Uh, Dangerous.
What?
Dangerous.
Dangerous, yes, really dangerous. And the last one, future.
Bright. Future is bright. It's like, well, they could think of the tunnel, right? The light at
Yeah.
the end of the tunnel. It's there. We
It's
just
really small, but it's there.
we have to wait for it, you know. But
Yes.
the future's now too.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks a lot, George Curran, for your precious time, for your
Oh,
everything. Really
absolutely.
nice to have you here with us. Thanks a lot of people from Instagram that were watching us. See you next time, people from Instagram. Thanks a lot. I will disconnect this live.
All right. Bye bye.